yeah, Rebecca Ferguson's in Dune. Oscar Isaac, Josh Brolin,
Everybody's in that fucking movie.
Stellan Skarsgård, Dave Bautista, Zendaya, David Dastmalchian,
Wait, really?
Jason Momoa, Javier Bardem.
Everybody is in this fucking movie.
Everybody's in this movie, dude. Directed by Denis Villeneuve.
Yes.
Music by Hans Zimmer.
Yes.
Man, I really hope that this isn't the one that he whiffs, right? Because I haven't seen like Sicario or anything before Arrival.
The big thing that I'm hesitant about is it's not fucking Deakins filming it.
Yeah. Well, Deakins didn't. Did Deakins do? Oh, Deakins did do Blade Runner.
Deakins did Blade Runner.
Yeah. Did he do Arrival? No, he didn't do Arrival. Arrival was excellent.
And that's what the other guy did? No, he didn't do Arrival. The guy's got filming. The cinematographer is Greg Fraser. No, this guy's credits are most recently he did Foxcatcher, The Gambler, Lion, Rogue One.
What I'm saying is Villeneuve, I think, is such a visual director that I don't think he needs an amazing cinematographer.
Blade Runner has some incredible shots that Deakins,
If you look back, hold on, but if you look back at these movies, so Vice had really cool cinematography. Rogue One had excellent cinematography. Yeah. Lion had really good cinematography. I didn't see Foxcatcher, The Gambler, Zero Dark 30. I mean, he won an award for it, but he's done some. This guy's done some good stuff. 3 episodes of The Mandalorian. He was nominated for best cinematography for Lion. I don't know. I'm fine with it. It's not like Zack Snyder, right? Where Zack Snyder leans heavily on a cinematographer to be good. I think Villeneuve has enough of his own vision to not need an amazing cinematographer. Because what did the guy who did Arrival? What else has he done?
That was Bradford Young. Young has done. He did A Most Violent Year. He did Selma.
Right. So all perfectly good stuff, right? But nothing as good as Arrival. He did Solo, right? Which is fine. But Arrival was excellent.
Yeah, but how many of these movies are? And it's interesting that Villeneuve had 2 films out in 2013. Prisoners was Deacon, Sicario was Deacon, 2049 was Deacon. Prisoners, the thing is, I will say this. I thought Prisoners was good, but I feel like there weren't. It seemed like there's some really great shots, but actually that Deakins didn't get much opportunity to do. There's only a couple shots in that entire movie that I'm actually thought were, anything. But
I don't know. I would say, you know what? Hold on, Jesus. Did you know? Because we were already talking about Dune. Did you know? Oh Jesus. Don't Call It a Comeback. The song on this album has a reference to Dune. There's a lyric that goes, "By will alone I set my life in motion," or "We set our lives in motion," which is a direct reference to the previous Dune film. Who directed that one? Lynch, right? That was David Lynch, right?
Yeah, it's Lynch.
Yeah, my ex's best friend loved that movie and the book.
I remember, I haven't seen it. All I know about it is reading someone make some comment about a bunch of the material being cut. There being a bunch of material cut out of it. No idea if that's true. I'm just. It's not even the Dune part. I'm just excited about it more.
About more Denis Villeneuve. He's so good. He's so it's just hit after hit. He's not made a. I mean, I haven't seen all the earlier stuff, but his last 2 were so excellent. Arrival was transcendent. I saw Arrival with my dad, and we came out of that movie, and he's like, he just didn't like it. And I was like, what? Did we watch different movies? Like, it was so good. Like, I was so confused. Like, what movie did you watch? That was one of the best movies I've ever seen.
I've not seen it. I'm not one for that like alien. I just in general don't.
Like, me neither, but I think it was just such a good, I don't know, so well written and so well acted and so well directed.
I have no doubt I just have these, very arbitrary.
I don't know. I would say when it comes to Dune, I'm hype with a capital H. Hello, helicopters, and welcome to this episode of Motion City Podcast. This is episode 7, sounds right. I am, as always, Naim Siddiqui, your host. Joining me, as always, is Jacob Walden, your co-host. How's it going, Jake?
It's going great. I'm looking forward to this. Capital H, let's do it.
Capital H. I picked the song this week. Why did I pick the song? Mostly so that I could talk about the show. So I went to the Milwaukee show on Friday, which would now be 2 Fridays ago as this is releasing. It was the last show, like sort of their ramp up show to their 3 Minnesota shows, the Minneapolis shows that they played at the Fillmore, and it was sick as fuck.
It was a Valentine's Day show.
It was a Valentine's Day show, yeah. Motion City Soundtrack was my Valentine. The big reason that I picked it for that reason is because at the show I had a VIP ticket, and VIPs for this tour got a 7-inch split single of a reworking of Capital H and Mary Without Sound, which we're going to talk about later when we talk about alternative versions. It was a pretty cool show. I don't know, the VIP experience. I've never done VIP before. I was supposed to at one show in like 2015. I think the second to last tour, so 2016 maybe. I guess not last, second to final tour, quote unquote final. The last tour before their farewell tour, and I paid for the VIP ticket and then didn't see the email saying I needed to be there at a certain time, so I thought I had the day free. So I like rolled on like an hour and a half early, and they're like, "Yeah, no, the VIP thing's all done by now." I was like, "Oh, all right, okay." And that was that. So I did it this time, and I also was in the mosh pit for the first time ever in my life, because I was like, "Look, I'm almost 27. Actually, as this is releasing, I will be 27 years old by the time this episode comes out." And I was like I'm 27. I'm too old to be in a mosh pit at this point, pretty much. But I've never done it before, so now is the time. Like, I'll do it now, and that way I'll know what it's like to have been in a mosh pit, and then I don't have to do it again. Like, either I can do it again or I don't have to do it again. What's nice about the mosh pit at a Motion City Soundtrack concert is that they're a pop punk band from 20 years ago. So everybody is in their mid-30s. Like, everybody around us, there was one girl who was 17 who discovered the band after they broke up, and then everybody else was between the ages of 32 and 37. That was like next to me who I was talking to. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, it's not gonna be that bad, and it wasn't that bad. There were like a handful of people who were like, going crazy. And even so, the guy who's standing right next to me, super cool guy, Dave was his name, I think. And he was 36. He's like, he'd been going to shows since 2003. Like, that was I'm the Movie era. He said he saw Blink-182 in 1998 before Enema of the State came out. It was just like, he's just been going to shows forever. That's what he does, right? He just goes to concerts and like meets bands, like, 'cause, like whatever. In 2003, Motion City Soundtrack, like, there's there's 8 people there to see Motion City Soundtrack, and everybody else is there to see whatever band Motion City Soundtrack was opening for. So like he goes and he hung out with the band, like and he was like, they're like 6 people who were like causing an actual problem. And I was like, at points, because my favorite was at the encore, which I got the set list for the show as well. Tony handed me the set list, and I don't know if he was aiming for the girl next to me. But to be fair, she was very small, and I was like running like football defense on her the whole night from getting moshed at. Like, I was legitimately like, I had planted my legs in a specific way. The only time that like she really got hit was when I was trying to record all of Time Turned Fragile for myself. The rest of the night, I was like standing there fully like guarding, like trying to have the most stable I could so that the people in front of me were not getting smashed up. Anyway, so the set list is on our Instagram, instagram.com/motioncitypod. But before they come out for the encore, which I don't know what else they did in the encore and other shows. Apparently they'd done a couple 3-song encores, but at least in Chicago on New Year's Eve and also in Milwaukee on Valentine's Day, the 2 most romantic days I was with Motion City Soundtrack.
Cheers, man. There you go.
Yeah. The encore was LG Fuad, and then Future Freaks Me Out, which makes sense, right? If they're not going to play it earlier in the set, they have to play it at that point. I think, and also I think somebody like the last song they played was "Hold Me Down," which they generally that's how they've closed out shows for a while with "Hold Me Down." Like that's just it's a great closing song. It's their most it's the closing song of their biggest album. Makes sense. But like, just so many people were cheering for songs that okay, we're gonna play one more song, and somebody else is like, play Bomb Pops, and it's like, they're not gonna play Bomb Pops as the last song of that. What the fuck are you talking about? And then they play Hold Me Down. It's like, okay, Hold Me Down. I guess that's fine too. It's like, yeah, of course they're gonna play Hold Me Down. And then they come out for an encore, like, all right, we're going to play a couple more songs for you guys. And it's just like, play Throwdown. Like, they're not going to play Throwdown. Are you kidding me right now? Like, nobody's playing Promenade. Like, that's not what's happening right now. Like, maybe if I played it in the middle of the set, okay, I'd believe it. But they're not fucking playing Promenade tonight. Are you kidding me right now? Like, I think the last time they played Throwdown live was the final show. And before that, I think it was like 7 years earlier. Like, I don't think they've really played it since the, maybe Commit This to Memory era. The only reason they played at that final show is because they played like 45 songs. Like, so yeah, it was a dope show. Got to stand up front. If you see any of the videos from that night that were recorded on somebody's camera phone, I'm very close to the front wearing an LG Fuad hat, and I'm the only brown person there. I'm not the only brown person. There were some like Latino people. It was dope. I'm actually Lucky Boys Confusion, which is another band that another pop punk band from the mid 2000s that I like and my brother really likes, are playing near here in the Chicago suburbs on April 11th, and like Dave was the one who told me that, and I was like, shit, like, yeah, I think I might go to that show. And I asked my brother, I'm like, hey, you want to go to the show on April 11th? He's like, yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. So I think we're gonna go to that show and reconnect with my pal Dave. Who knows? Maybe in like 15 episodes, Dave will be a guest on the show. So yes, that is that. That was the show. So let's talk about the song, Capital H. So like I said, I picked it because of that. Also, I mean, it's also a good song. I like the song. One interesting thing about Capital H is that it's got the most like recorded alternative versions, I think, of any Motion City Soundtrack song, because it happened like it was one of the very early songs. So it was on the early EPs, so it was on the Back to the Beat EP, the first song on the Back to the Beat EP. It was on the split with Shotzi, and then it was on I Am the Movie, which is interesting because it was on the original release of I Am the Movie. They added it on for the like the re-release, like, you know, the official Epitaph release. But there was the independent, like the fully independent release of I Am the Movie. Capital H was not on there. And it was added on. They said they didn't like how the original sounded, so that's why they completely re-recorded it and put it on the Epitaph version. So the Epitaph version has I think 4 more songs. No, 3. Four more songs than the original version. I think we talked a little bit in AOK because AOK was on the original Epitaph, the original pre-Epitaph release, but they wrote, like, before that they wrote Perfect Teeth, Modern Chemistry, and Autographs and Apologies. Those were not on the original release of I Am the Movie. And then Capital H also wasn't on the original release, and they re-recorded it and put it on the new release. And I think I think the re-release version of Capital H is longer than the original. The original is it? Yeah, the original is 2:45 and the re-release is 2:52. So not that much longer.
They say what they don't like about it. Did they said anywhere? I know that's
You know, I don't know.
It's been, what, 17 years? But
and actually, on the Shotzi split, it's 2:51, so I think it's about the same length. I didn't happen to. I actually forgot to do all the research that I usually do. But so I'm not sure. But I think maybe it was just like, you know, it's one of those things too, where like when they didn't have a lot of money to record, because there are, like, it is a lot tighter, right? The I Am the Movie version is a lot tighter.
Well, I think with the Shotzi version, the I Am the Movie, like, Shotzi feels very different from everything else, whereas the one they have feels much, you know, tighter,
the Shotzi version, the Shotzi version and the Back to the Beat version, both sound very similar. There's like a couple differences here and there. I think, like, so on the Back to the Beat version, that's the one that I've listened to more of in the last couple of days in preparation. There's a moment before they goes to the solo, like he goes like, "Take it, Josh."
Yes.
Which is did it in the Shotzi version? I don't
know if that's in the Shotzi or the Back to the Beat, or if it's in both.
I know it's in the Back to the Beat. I don't think it's in the. I don't know if it's in the Shotzi version. I don't think it is. By the way, Shotzi is the name of a different band, but it's a Shotzi split. Like, it's a split EP with Shotzi, and I don't know if Shotzi has done anything in a long time. 96 to 04, yeah. So they haven't really been around in a while. But yeah, so the split with Shotzi, which I guess we'll call it the Shotzi version. There are a few differences, and then I didn't notice in either of the earlier versions. When they're singing the end, is there the under like, I don't know, the backing vocals saying songs from the balcony as the city crumbles, singing songs from the balcony? Because I know there's that in the final version. Do you happen to remember?
There is backing vocals in the Shotzi version.
Okay.
Because I know that because that's the one I've listened to the most. I didn't listen to the
Back to the Beat version.
Back to the Beat version much, but they're definitely backing vocals in the Shotzi. I don't know that I can make them out exactly because I am listening mostly to just in that part, but like, yeah.
Well, here, let me play it at the end of the Back to the Beat version.
Yeah, I don't know when to start, and I just know, yeah.
Yeah. I just listened to a little bit of it right now to. So no,
that's not what I'm talking about. I think that it's earlier on. Let me find it.
Here, hold on, because here's the Shotzi version.
Yeah.
So it's a little quiet, but you can hear it in the Shotzi split version.
I thought, man.
It's the very end of the song, so they both start exactly the same. Like the riff.
I'm feeling bad right now because I'm like, I thought the Back to the Beat version, which you're playing, I thought that was the Shotzi split. But it wasn't.
No, I mean, they are very similar. There's not like a lot of huge changes. Like the beginning, Here, I'll play the beginning here, which is exactly the same in both versions. Here's the Shotzi version. And here's the Back to the Beat version.
One's a little bit lower, but yeah, both of those have that. It's just that grimier.
Yeah, it's a little different. It's a little different, but like it's almost exactly the same. Whereas the final version, which I did not pull up, like an amateur, it, has a little bit here. It's this.
You got it. Got it in one. Edit.
So it's a little bit different than the two previously recorded versions, which are like it doesn't have that starting of the like the two sort of muted chords at the beginning. It just starts right with the song, which I like. But also the Back to the Beat, like on Back to the Beat, it was the first song in the album, so on the EP rather. So it makes a little bit more sense to start with like a statement. Like it would be weird on like anything at all, right? Which starts the album on Panic Stations. Mm-hmm. Like it starts with "Let's Do This," right? But it'd be weird if it started with "Let's Do This" and it was like the 6th song on the album. So I get it, right? Like it makes sense to start with a statement if it's the start of the EP or the album. But if it's track 10, like it is on the final release of I Am the Movie, you don't really want to start with a statement like that because it's its own song. So, got anything else for the early versions? Any other things you noticed?
Absolutely. You know what the Shotzi version made me think of? I'm going to play it just a little bit just to confirm this for myself. Yeah, I listened to this and I got the strongest summer camp vibes.
Yeah?
I feel like no, I just like it feels like his singing is, I don't know the name of the lead singer of Summer Camp, but it feels like the vocals are like there's a extreme similarity in the vocals between the two.
Like Summer Camp is a band?
Yeah.
Okay, never heard of them. I don't know. We talk about the drums a lot, which I think is important because I think, I read an article that was talking about when Tony returned to the band that like it's arguable that Tony's drums are the second most important part of the band behind Justin, right? Like that, and I think Claudio did an admirable job in his stead. And in the interview, even Tony's like he saw Claudio playing those Commit This to Memory parts because I think the first tour after Tony left the band was the Commit This to Memory 10th anniversary tour, and he saw Claudio playing the drums and he's like, he's playing them exactly like I played them. Like Claudio was Tony's drum tech too before he was the drummer for the band. He was Tony's drum tech for a while. So that, I mean, it's interesting, but so the early versions in 2000, Tony wasn't part of the band yet. So I don't know about the Shotzi split. I think he might have been for the Shotzi split, but for the Back to the Beat version, Tony wasn't the drummer on that. He was on the album version, obviously. Like all the albums are Tony, besides obviously Panic Stations because he already left the band. But I think you can hear a little bit of a difference. I think that the drums are just like a little tighter, just a little bit on later versions, because obviously somebody else wrote the drum parts. Let's see, it was Joel Habedank or something like that around that time. But by the time Tony started performing them, I think it was a lot tighter of a drum part, I guess. Did you listen for the drums much? I should warn you to listen for the drums more often, because it does, for some reason of the first 7 songs we've done, 6 of them have had something to be listened to for the drums.
No, it's just I don't feel like I've ever, the big thing is the obvious thing. You have which you've already said multiple times. The album version being recorded in a different environment has more tight everything, so you definitely notice a roughness in the Back to the Beat version and the Shotzi version.
Yeah. Which is interesting. I mean, there's not necessarily something bad about the roughness. I actually, when listening to the Back to the Beat version, I listened to it in the context of the whole album, and there's, gosh, I forget the name of the song that comes on after capital H on Back to the Beat. But oh man, is it just called Beat?
I think it is.
I really like that song, and it's a really short song. Yeah, it is Back to the Beat. We'll talk about that obviously when we do a full episode on it, but it's a song that I wish was a little bit longer. But I think it works really well with the in the flow of both Back to the Beat and I'm the Movie. I'm the Movie comes after Modern Chemistry and before. Oh no, The Red Dress, before Red Dress. So it's interesting, like. Capital H is one of those songs that's just like, it's energetic and it's fun. And like Modern Chemistry is a great song, but like it's I believe in medication. Like it's just a little bit of like a, chill out. And then Red Dress is, again, I don't know, highly emotional, I guess. Whereas Capital H is just like, it's just fun. It's a nice like fun interlude before you go to Red Dress, Marry That Sound, Autographs and Apologies, which is a slow song. And then A-OK, which picks it back up at the end. So I like it as... honestly, it feels kind of like the start of a side B, which it's not. I believe side B starts with... Don't call it a comeback. I'll have to check that. Do you have something else you want to say while I... can you vamp for time while I run and grab the album? It'll take me 2 seconds.
All right, we'll talk more about summer camp. How about that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I began to notice when I was listening to the Shotzi version that there was just a similar vocal quality. I still don't know any of these terms, but it sounded like... Well, I just realized there's some kind of, I don't know, feeling. Not like I'd heard it before, but just like... how a song can sound like it's by, how sometimes when a band makes a song, it might sound like it's by somebody else. Not in a bad way, but what I got from that was I was thinking of the song, I think it's Nowhere Near by Summer Camp, which is a song of the Digimon the movie soundtrack. And the reason why I know the band and know that song, but that's just the feeling I got from the two was a similarity there. I guess I'd say it's the least that of any song I've heard. And granted, this is the old version, however 15 plus years ago that it was recorded. But that's the least, I guess, Justin has sounded like Justin, even though like even re-listening to it right now makes it like, no, he's there.
There's definitely other songs on Back to the Beat where I'm like, it doesn't really. I know it's Justin, but it doesn't sound a lot like Justin.
But when I say something like that, I always mean it. Like I always think that's neat. Like I like.
No, it's never a bad thing. I said the same thing about Perfect Teeth, where it just sounds like he's doing something different, and that's not a bad thing. It's just It's different. It does it differently live. When we talk about Perfect Teeth, I'll tell you what I'm talking about. But so real quick, side A. Speaking of Perfect Teeth, the last song on side A is it's Perfect Teeth and then 1,000 Paper Cranes as a vinyl bonus. And then side B starts with Boombox Generation, which is it's weird to me that 1,000 Paper Cranes starts like is on the last song of side A instead of the last song of side B. I feel like that messes up the flow of the album, especially because I feel like Don't Call It a Comeback would be a fun way to start a side of an album, right? It could be Perfect Teeth and Boombox Generation, and then you start side B with Don't Call It a Comeback. Mm-hmm. But whatever, that's what it is. Yeah. Another interesting thing. I don't know if it is in the album version, but when they do this song live, for sure, the drummer, be it Tony or Claudio, sings the backing vocals. Usually it's Matt, who sings most of the backing vocals on anything live. And like sometimes Tony will sing some stuff and sometimes Josh will sing some stuff, but most of the backing vocals are done by Matt. But in this, like anytime they're live, it's always Tony, or when it's, when it wasn't Tony, it was Claudio. Which I find interesting. First of all, kudos to any drummer who can sing while drumming. I don't know how Phil Collins fucking does it, but it is interesting that this song specifically, maybe like I could understand if it, part of it is that when like Tony and Matt joined the band at the same time, they were part of a different band and then joined Motion City Soundtrack. They were sort of poached into Motion City Soundtrack, and that's how they joined the band. But it's I don't know. It's interesting that Tony sings backing vocals. Like even Josh, I'd understand, right? Because like, okay, the only two who have been with the band since day one are Josh and Justin, right? Like the band was started by Josh for like Josh and Justin. Cool, I get that. But like it's I don't know. It's interesting that then Tony does the backing vocals. Because when I look back, so looking at the timeline on Wikipedia, which could be wrong, it's possible that Joel Habedank sang some backing vocals. It's possible that Sidney Bergdorf sang some backing vocals. But it lists Josh as the only backing vocalist for the band until Tony and Matt joined, and then they were also listed as backing vocalists. So I don't know if they just like if the song was written for Joel Habedank to be singing backing vocals, and then he left the band and the part went to Tony to sing, or if it's just for some reason they decided Tony's voice was best for it instead of Matt's, or Tony technically joined the band a little bit before Matt. So I literally I couldn't tell you. I couldn't even guess why it is as it is. But it's cool. I like that Tony sings the backing vocals. It's different.
What else is he singing backing on?
I mean, there's songs where like everybody sings backing on stuff. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. But in general, it's almost entirely
Matt. I just don't even often think about the backing vocals on except for the songs where they're very noticeable.
Yeah, like so like in Everything Is All Right and Hangman, which they don't do live very often, but those parts in the original album were I forgot his name from Fall Out Boy, Patrick Stump and Mark Hoppus from Blink-182. But when they do them live, it's Matt. But there's other songs like Time Turned Fragile. I was nervous from the start when our muscles might tear us apart. The muscles tearing us apart. And actually, Justin also sings that, but then also Matt, harmonizes on it sometimes. And there's other harmonies, too, that they do. But yeah, I can't think of anything specifically that is Tony or the drummer doing. Okay, so this is an early enough song that we can go to songmeanings.com. Everyone's favorite segment of the show. Songmeanings.com. Well, let's talk about some of the lyrics first, ourselves, before we taint our opinions with the geniuses at songmeanings.com.
Well, the structure of the song itself is just it's. I feel like this is the only song where aside from the every main verse is beginning with "I'll be back."
Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back in the ballroom swinging.
I like
almost
that.
Entirely, except for like the one that's 10:45.
Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back. Yeah. I like it. I know like repetition can be a problem, but this feels like it kind of goes past that right back into being a creative take on writing a song, writing the lyrics of a song.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So if taken literally, right, it's he's singing about being a superhero, and maybe not being a superhero at times. I'm half drunk, I can't see straight, a hero zero with a capital Z. Singing songs from the balcony as the city crumbles under the powers of an evil rocket science monster with the capability to destroy the entire universe, yo.
I always get a kick of how he sings it, of how he kind of talks it.
He like sort of under the powers of an evil rocket science monster with the capabilities to destroy the entire universe. Like he sort of gives up on it halfway through. It's fun. Yeah, it's definitely like that's one that's always in my head has been the abilities, because capabilities is such an extra syllable with the ability to destroy the entire universe. But it is such a Justin syllable. You're right. Under the powers of a rocket science monster with capabilities to destroy the entire universe. Yo.
I love it.
Let me double check to make sure, because I think "yo" might even actually be like an official lyric. It is not.
I noticed something between listening to the iMovie version versus listening to the other versions, the grimier versions, and it's that in this, the take of this being the typical self-deprecating, kind of probably won't succeed attitude comes through, whereas in the earlier versions I feel like it is more, I feel like the songs themselves are more confident about the lyrics, not like confident singing them, but like the abstraction of the character of the song, like the person saying these things feels more confident in the early versions, like, yeah, I am a hero. Whereas in this version, It feels like I'm a fuck up.
Well, so yeah. So like the Take It Josh, right? Like Take It Josh feels confident, as opposed to in the original, in the movie version, it's just like rock, right? Which is like it feels like a different sort of take, right? Like Take It Josh, as opposed to just like rock. And even that, the rock is a lot like quieter. You can kind of almost barely hear it. So some of the song meanings, the first one's pretty much agrees with you. Just saying he wants to be something bigger than what he is, but can never actually accomplish this. Let's see. Just a lot about. I think the song is about a superhero with an alcohol problem. Just like a very straightforward rating. Maybe he says alcohol is his kryptonite, which makes sense, right? That's where Justin is in life. He is an alcoholic. And alcohol's kind of his kryptonite. He's sober now, but at the time he is drinking like fucking crazy. I also like MCS is the kind of lyrics that, if they do have any kind of deep meaning, it's nothing that could be figured out just from hearing the song. Like, I disagree. I wonder why the song is called Capital H. He said in the song. They say in the song. He says for hero in the capital, like hero in the hero is me. Here's an interesting one though. When I first saw the title, I thought it was heroin. I think I'm wrong, but I don't think you're wrong, actually. He says that he thinks he's wrong, but I think it's actually, like, not unreasonable. The capital H stands for hero and the hero is me. Like, you kind of feel like you're Superman action and off to save the world when you're on heroin. I don't know. I mean, like, and I don't know specifically that Justin did heroin, but I wouldn't be surprised, right? Like, he definitely did a lot of drugs and alcohol at that time. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like, chasing the high of heroin. Capital H says for hero and the hero is me, and then I'll be back tomorrow for more heroin.
That's not unreasonable. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back for more heroin. I'll be back with the cash. It stands for heroin, and the heroin is mine. I don't think so. No, not just because I don't want it to be, but I'll be back with a capital H. I am a fan of any interpretation that just introduces a wild new take on it, which is required to think that capital H means heroin here. Like, boy, this just radically alters the song.
Here's a fun one. You're a big history guy, right?
No. I
No?
read a lot, but I'm not like a.
Anyway,
classically studied.
Live Fast, Die Young says, I'm convinced that the song says the line, singing songs from the balcony as the city crumbles has to be an allusion to the Roman Emperor Nero, who, according to legend, played his lyre and sang songs as Rome burned in 64 AD. This connection is strengthened, I feel, by the fact that Nero rhymes with zero and hero.
Well,
again, I don't hate. I like the idea. I think it's possible that like Justin heard about that and just like stuck it in the back of his mind, and then when he wrote the song, he just like I don't think it was an intentional reference to Nero, but I could buy it as like an unintentional reference to Nero. Like he heard, like sometimes, as a songwriter, sometimes I'll like think of a phrase that sounds like it'll be a good lyric, and I'll write it down, and then I'll come back to it. I'll be like, I don't know why I wrote this, but it's a good lyric, and maybe I'll put it in something. Like I think, actually at the show, there were a couple of things that he said, and I think there was one thing that Justin said. Let me see if I can find it. That I was like, that would make a good lyric. Let me jot that down. Just like the word gathering of humans. I don't know. There's something about like the words gathering of humans that appeals to my ears. Like so it's like
I think that the Nero connection. I think that's fine. I don't think there's necessarily a deeper meaning to it other than that being that is an ancient story. So you're going to expect to see it.
Here's an interesting thing. The feeling of it's a procrastination. I could do all this stuff and it'd be really epic, but I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow.
Actually, I like that one a lot.
Today I'm getting drunk and I'll be back tomorrow to do all this cool stuff.
I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, doing nothing as Rome Burns is, or doing nothing as X Burns is just that's not I think the Nero connection is a stretch. That's just a common expression.
I don't hate the heroin thing.
Again, I don't have a problem with it. I just you have to reinterpret the entire song, which is
I don't think you really do. I don't think you really have to reinterpret it that much. As long as you call the capital H is doing the heroin, and then you feel like a hero. I think it's reasonable.
I'll be back in the ballroom swing, and I'll be back with the capital H. I'll be back with heroin. It stands for heroin and the.
Well, sure. Obviously, you can't. If you take it completely literally, nothing can make sense. But the capital H, the heroin stands for hero. The heroin makes it's a stand-in to make me a hero. Also, hero and heroin have the first four letters of heroin are hero, right? Heroin is also the female version of hero. So it's not super crazy. Obviously, it's spelled differently, but it's not super crazy to assume it. I don't know. Gosh, what else we got?
I wonder if there's some meaning to capital H that maybe. Is heroin often referred to just as H?
Heroin?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. So you're saying it's a capital H, a specific kind of heroin for some reason?
No, just I mean, I'm sure that's a slang because everything's slang for drugs, but.
Sure. Yeah. Do we have anything else about the song? I don't know. Synth part, the guitar solo.
No, just kind of what I mentioned at the beginning, which is that the structure itself is interesting to me. It's the same. Not in a bad way, but just it's the.
So there's not a lot of guitar solos in most of the soundtrack songs, to be honest. There's some.
Nope. Feels like they're back heavy, all on Panic, or a lot of it's on Panic Stations.
That is true. Yeah, there's a lot of it on Panic Stations. All right, let's do a couple of covers and alternate versions. So found a couple covers of this on YouTube. It's nice with the older songs because they've been around for so long that there are covers of them. This one is from Kirchfilm. Apparently the band is called Only Legal, and the YouTube video, their music video, is all Lego, which is pretty decent. Nice. It's decent Legos. So here is Only Legal's cover of Capital H.
I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back in the ballroom singing. I'll be back with my Superman action, and I'm on to save the world. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back in the ballroom singing. I'll be back with a capital H. The hero and the heroes.
Yeah. You know, it's
that singing style is interesting. I don't think it's bad. It's just I'm not sure what to call that.
I think he's trying. Like he's really like pushing it, and probably would be better if it was a little more natural. Still post stuff on YouTube. A year ago, he did a Fantastic Beast: Crimes of Griswold trailer.
So like a National Lampoon's parody?
Yes. Yes, it is. You got it in one.
Nice.
I believe just they replaced any instance of Johnny Depp with Chevy Chase. Amazing.
And these deepfakes are getting wild, huh?
Oh man, I wish it was a deepfake. That would be even better.
Same man.
They're from Minnesota, so maybe they're just like, yeah, makes sense. So the other one we have is from, I don't know if the band is called C or what. The YouTube page is Superman, aka Sean, S-E-A-N Sean, and this guy appears to, at the time in 2008, be approximately 14 years old. So here, whatever, better than I could play guitar at 14 years old. Here is at C with capital H at the Rock Lobster, aka Northport Boys and Girls Club. Yeah, I think it's. I like his voice. I think his voice was really interesting. He definitely had a band until at least 6 years ago, because that's the last time I could see him playing music on YouTube. He might still have a band. Who knows? He was definitely older than he was in 2008, 6 years ago in 2014, because that's how time works. Yeah. The guitar solo, I think what's interesting is, so he plays the guitar solo himself, the lead singer does, and I think it's one of those things of like, I don't know if he happened to be the best guitarist in the band or if the other guitarist was better, but you kind of got to be like, you kind of have to have an ego to be a lead singer. Like, I get it. So it might just be that he thought he was better than he was, or maybe he was the best. Like, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad rendition of it. It wasn't great, but he hit most of the notes right.
Well,
I mean, better than you could do.
Absolutely, I respect the effort, but not the product.
Not the product. The final thing we have is... Oh, no, not the final thing. We have two more. So second to last, this is... we talked about it a little bit when we did A-OK, the live McNally Smith auditorium acoustic set, which is, as a drum I keep banging, nobody covers Motion City Soundtrack like Motion City Soundtrack. I like, it's hard to realize. It's easy to take for granted how many like Motion City Soundtrack songs the band themselves did an alternate version of, and realize that other bands don't do that much. Like, sometimes they'll do it occasionally, sometimes they'll do it for like an album or whatever, like they'll do that kind of thing, but like there's so many alternate versions of so many Motion City Soundtrack songs that other bands just like don't do that kind of thing. Like I've gone back and been like, let me try to find like acoustic sets of Blink-182, and it's like, don't exist. It's not around. So here is that acoustic of capital H.
1, 2, 3, whoa! with my Superman action, and I'm off to save.
I really like the beginning with the whoa replacing the
yeah, which they do throughout the song, and they had the audience pitch in with that too. I think it's really cool, especially because I think that's supposed to be like a synth part that.
Yep.
And you know, like I think it's an acoustic set, so Jesse's doing it more on keyboard than synth, so they sort of get the audience engagement of having the whoas.
Yeah, man, Justin's nailing it. I mean, obviously he's a fantastic singer, but man, I feel like it shines through more there than.
What's really fun is if you haven't heard this again, like I think like we said on the AOK episode, it's all on YouTube. You can watch the full set. They go through the whole album, alternate versions. But what's fun about this is, so Justin, after the song, said he was trying to do a joke where he was going to do something different, but Claudia didn't pick up on it, so it becomes a different sort of joke. So it's one of our favorite parts. Here is. The city crumbles under the powers of an evil Dr. Rocket Science monster with capabilities to destroy the entire universe? Or your whoa! which is
image, you know, in How I Met Your Mother when Ted's at the chalkboard and he's spelling out professor and he keeps looking at the class. I just have this image of someone like playing the guitar and like looking at the crowd for each. Is this no right?
Well, it's right? Funny too because Justin is like notorious for forgetting lyrics on stage. So like he meant to play a joke that he was pretending to forget the lyrics, but what actually happened was everyone thought he forgot the lyrics. Yeah. So. But I really enjoy that rendition, especially right at that point. Like, even if he like didn't get his joke, you know, stepped on. Like, if it actually was, the joke was he pretended to forget the lyrics, the audience fills in the lyrics, and then the song keeps going. Like, I think it really works. It's really enjoyable, and the kind of thing that, you know, that happens live.
That's more memorable than if nothing had gone wrong.
Yeah. Trying to find the last. Here we go. Here's the last version of Capital H we have is from the VIP 7-inch split, which is, again, like I said, a reworked versions of Capital H and Mary Without Sound. The Capital H is. This one is definitely long. This one's 3 minutes 14 seconds, so it's about half a minute longer than the album version. This one is, so it's interesting. I was talking a little bit before the show. The rumor, so there's nothing confirmed about this, but according to I think Sliver964 on the Motion City Soundtrack subreddit, who is like the main moderator who's ever around. Coincidentally, I'm the one who posted this for them to be on the Google Drive of B-sides and rarities. But the rumor that he says he heard is that they recorded the whole, like, a reworked version of the whole album, potentially around the time they did the acoustic show, and never released it. And this might be from that. And somebody said that at the Commit This to Memory 10 tour, which I don't remember the songs they played after the set, but some of them were like reworked versions of the I'm the Movie songs. So it would be interesting if they go back and like re-release some of these, you know. But here is the reworked version of Capital H, not in its entirety, but here's some of it.
My Superman action, and I'm off to save the world. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back in the ballroom swinging. I'll be back with the capital H. It says a hero and the hero's me. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back in the ballroom swinging.
So yeah, it's quite different. I don't know. It's a lot like rougher guitar, like a lot more distorted of guitars in the background. The drums are a little bit like, I don't know, like airier, I guess. The song as a whole is slower. It's really interesting. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on the cabinet? I know you really liked it.
I do really like it. It is a significant departure from like this. This feels like the not necessarily critically, but like the Justin Pierre solo project, or something that is so different that it's as if it's another. It's an entirely different backing band.
That's an interesting take. Yeah. It's possible, it's possible that if this was recorded around 2014, it's possible that Claudio had a hand in, writing it or rewriting it, I guess, which would, it kind of is a different band at that point, right? Like if the drummer who sets so much of the tone for the band is different, like obviously, he is not just any random drummer, like he was Tony's drum tech and he played for Saves the Day and stuff like that. But, Inside Out, like we've mentioned, is so different from everything else they've done that it would, I'd understand if maybe they, this re-recording was so different. These two re-recordings were so different because Claudio's a part of them. I'd be really interested to see if they release the whole thing. I feel like at this point maybe they wouldn't, specifically because they put out the 7 inches, and they're supposed to be exclusive. But who knows? Maybe they'll put it out, in some different format. But I don't know.
It's such a weird rumor to me. Like, this is what I was saying before we're recording. It's just, or what I was about to say anyway, which is like that's a weird thing for somebody to make up. Like,
right? It'd be weird for somebody to make up, right? So it makes sense that maybe it's true, right? Like, why would somebody make that up?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't go as far as like that being a general thing, but it's just like this is so niche. It's like such a weird. Did you know that Motion City Soundtrack secretly recorded different versions of all of their albums?
All of this album, right? But that makes sense, right?
I'm just saying, it's
of course, yeah. But it makes sense, right? Because they did rewrite them for that live show. So it would make some sense that they might have recorded some of them. People have said they've heard some things that sounded like re-recorded versions. And no, the other possibility, obviously. So in October, they were in the studio and they recorded some stuff, and they said it was with the hashtag Flowers for Ed, because they recorded it in Ed Ackerson's studio after he passed away, which is called Flower Studio. And, that was my first assumption, was that these were recorded in those sessions. And nothing else has been released from those sessions. So I don't know if they're, putting something out that they haven't put out yet, or if it's this was what was on there. No idea. Maybe if Tony, if you're listening, I know you've heard some of the shows.
If you're listening, something.
Please. He's definitely heard something. He tweeted out as I heard. I'm like, Tony, I don't know what you heard, but I hope it's good. So we don't. Anyway, so if you're listening, Tony, please let me know. Let us know on Twitter at Motion City Pod. Was this? Were you a part of this recording? Did you record this at the late great Ed Ackerson studio in October, or did they record it with Claudio in 2014? Who knows? Maybe we should have Claudio on the show at some point and ask him.
What I was about to say is that a recurring theme in Tyler Joseph's lyric writing, Tyler Joseph's 21 Pilots, is that he prefers playing live because then he does whatever he wants with the music. And I wonder how common of a among musicians with how much Motion City Soundtrack does their own music, specific Tyler Joseph dislikes to an extent recording because there's a permanence to it, and he likes doing whatever he wants with it. And I wonder how much that sentiment is shared. Clearly seems a good bit, at least with Motion City Soundtrack, because they play around with all their songs on stage. But I wonder if that's if that's really common or
yeah,
more rare.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. I don't know for sure. That was one other thing. Oh, before we go, there was a interview in the Minneapolis Star Tribune. They interviewed Justin and Josh about the reunion tour because it was a couple days. It says it was published on February 15th, but I definitely read it on February 14th. And submitted it to Reddit on February 14th. So maybe it was like rewritten. Part of it might have been rewritten. I don't know. But in it, Josh, they talk about the band broke up for a big reason that the band broke up is because they had three of the guys had daughters like at home that they just like, we got to go home to our daughters. It's interesting actually because in that interview with Tony, Tony mentioned that like he stays in contact. Like Justin has said, he has trouble staying in contact with the rest of the band sometimes because they're in different corners of the world. They got their own lives. He hangs out with Josh because they both still live in Minnesota, and like Josh produced his solo album, but otherwise he doesn't really necessarily. And Tony, like similarly, was like doesn't really keep up with Justin and Josh, but he and Jesse both live in LA, so they hang out sometimes. And he and Matt have been best friends for 20 years. Like they joined Motion City Soundtrack together from I forget the name of the other band that they were a part of. I'm such a bad super fan. I don't remember the name of the band that they were sort of swiped from. But they've known each other from way back in Virginia. Submerge was the name of the band. Yeah, that's so yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, so let me find the exact quote. Have more time to do stuff, doing the meet and greets, which is great. Here we go. So they asked if they're making a new album, and Josh said, "We haven't finished anything, but me, Justin, and Matt have thrown ideas at each other all along, saying, if we do another album, this might be good for it. So if we decide to do something, we'll have plenty to pull from. There's no official plan, though. Personally, I don't think our group is done writing songs and making new music together, but nothing's for certain." Which really sounds like they might make a new album.
It's coming.
Like that really sounds like testing the waters for like, who knows? We've bandied some stuff about, and I don't think we're done making music, but nothing's in the plans now.
How much time did they do they have now? Isn't the tour done with?
Yeah. So technically the last show was last Monday, a week ago, as of release.
Was it last? I thought it was. Weren't they doing shows through like the 18th?
No, it was this past Monday, as of release last Monday, but the 17th. Was the last show of the tour, but then they have two shows at the Slam Dunk Festival in England in May, which is technically not really part of the tour. So I don't know. I mean, obviously, I really hope they put out new music, right? Like, I don't know. If I didn't hope they put out new music, what am I doing here, right? Like, that is my desire. But it makes sense. I think they're gonna put out new music. I hope sooner than later, but we'll see.
People get it baked in time in their schedule. That's what I was getting at. They have a great opportunity for
the next 3 months. I honestly, part of me really thought that they were going to finish the tour and drop a surprise album, because that's what everybody's doing these days, dropping surprise albums. So I really thought like there was a good possibility that like on that last day in Minneapolis, they're like, by the way, new album drops tomorrow.
Well, again, are they performing tonight?
As of recording, no. Their last show was 2 days ago as of recording, and as of release, it was a week ago today.
They have 3 shows in Minneapolis. So
yeah,
it's been 3? 15th,
16th, and 17th.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. as we're recording it is the 19th. So they have officially finished the tour. But obviously, like, you know, they live in different cities, right? Like I said, Jesse lives in LA along with Tony. They don't live together, but they both live in Tony. They both live in Tony. They both live in Tinseltown. And Matt lives in Portland, I think. So, you know, I'd get that they'd have to like get together to record stuff. But who knows? It'd also be interesting if, like, yeah, I don't know. Like, because Tony left the band first, right? But also Tony stopped drumming for a little while, and then he like joined a couple little bands and realized that he liked drumming. It was just the touring life that was killing him, and I get that, right? Like, I'd be fine if they released albums, tour an album, and then like don't tour for a couple of years instead of, you know, just constantly touring like they did before, which is what you got to do, right? But it would also be interesting if, like, you know, Tony comes in, does the album, and then Claudio, who is not currently part of a band, but is friends with the band, you know, does the live shows, Tony's drum parts. I don't know if that's something he would be interested in. I don't know if something the band would want to do. I have no idea. But I feel like, you know, Claudio contributed to the band and maybe deserves to have some sort of contribution to any future music the band does. But as it stands, he is not part of the band. Yeah. Any final thoughts on Capital H?
None.
Cool. I like this. Oh, you know what? That's the one thing. I don't remember if I think I must have stolen this from somewhere. But the tattoo thing that I said, that like, I don't have any tattoos. I don't know did I steal this from you? I didn't steal this from you, did I?
No.
Okay, cool. I probably stole it from somebody on Reddit. I don't have any tattoos, but if I were to get a tattoo, it would be a capital H, right? Because it's a nice, subtle, like, reference. You know, it's not like big and in your face. I don't mind. I saw some really cool tattoos at the show, right? Like, someone had like Daisy from My Dinosaur Life on her thigh. Someone on her upper arm had like a representation of each of the album arts. It was really cool. I wish I had like taken a picture or something. But there's some really cool tattoos out there. But for me, as somebody who like is not necessarily a big tattoo person and doesn't like want like a big tattoo, it would I think it would be cool to have just a tattoo that's just like just the letter H, capital, and that's it. And it's just like nice, like, you know, if somebody asks you, like, capital H is the name of a song I like, you know. But yeah, some people have forget-me-nots and marigolds. Yeah, I think I saw somebody with one of those the other day as well.
I think it's the popular one. I like it.
Yeah.
I like the capital H idea. I'm with you. I prefer, you know, I will eventually get tattoos. I just don't you know. I definitely prefer the subtle, the subdued, not the
right.
Not that I have any problem with ostentatious, but I just so
personally. No, I think, yeah, for some people it's right, for some people it's not. Just like with everything, I think, you know, like I was talking. I used to be a supervisor at the movie theater. And I'm like, some people, this is the job for them. Like there was a bartender there. She loved to bartend. Like, that's the job for you. Like, you want to bartend for the rest of your life. I think she did, and I'm like, cool. That's great. You want to bartend for the rest of your life? Bartend for the rest of your life.
She did bartend for the rest of her life? Or she did?
No. She said she would be happy to bartend for the rest of her life or something like that. I was like, yeah, if you want to bartend for the rest of your life, bartend for the rest of your life. That's your choice. It's just like, that's not me, you know? So.
You know, I say that, but I want hand tattoos. So what do I know?
Like on your hands?
About subtle. Yeah, I like the idea of having a you know, as close to, you know, quote, perfect circle as possible on both my hands.
I think it'd be like upper shoulder or like chest. Yeah. All right. I think that'll do it. for this episode of Motion City Podcast. If you want to follow us on the internets, we are at Motion City Pod on Twitter, Motion City Pod on Instagram. You can email us, motioncitypod@gmail.com. You can find our Patreon, patreon.com/Motion City Pod. That's the one thing I forgot last week. I was like, what am I forgetting? And it was Patreon, mostly because I don't think anybody should want to give us money, but hey, if you do, more power to you.
Sell it.
If you want to, I think if you want to follow us individually, I'm at Kuhan. Jake is at XFIP minus. That is all spelled out XFIPMINUS. And he tweets sometimes.
I just retweet you or you.
Yeah. I think that's all the things you can find us on. Oh yeah, we're on all the podcast platforms: Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher. So find us on all of those. Rate and review us on iTunes and wherever else you can rate and review us, because those apparently help. And I think that's it. The one last thing I forgot to mention: White Reaper, who was the opening act on the Milwaukee show, who was a band who I tried to listen to a little bit of, like on just in preparation for the show, and I just couldn't get into it. But they put on a great live show. They were really fun live, and they're one of those bands who they only did 4 shows with Motion City, and maybe it was just because they like Motion City soundtrack and they did it for fun. But they were on Kimmel nice. A month ago. So they are at the point where I think they could probably headline their own tour. They honestly might have, but it was cool to see them. And the band who was before them, I don't know who it was, and it's not listed on the motion, on the website, on the motionsoundtrack.com. So I would love to shout them out, but I don't remember what they were called. But I liked them. I thought they were interesting. They were like more emo than punk. Jesus Christ. Sorry, I went to whitereaper.com and it auto plays music like it's 1997. What the fuck, guys? Are you fucking kidding me? It's 2020. I don't want you to auto play music. They do appear to have a tour right now. So with the Aquadolls. I don't know if the Aquadolls are a headliner or if it's a co-headline tour, no idea. But White Reaper, cool band. And the other one was cool too. Like I said, you don't hear a lot of modern emo, so it was cool to hear. That is it for this edition of Motion City Podcast. Is there something in this song that we can close out with?
We'll be back tomorrow.
We'll be back tomorrow.
Several tomorrows.
Yeah, I don't know. Singing songs from the balcony. We'll talk to you next.
Goodbye, helicopters with a capital H.
No, not happening.